Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen, let's get busy with video number 2. I might talk quickly, so you're going to have to write fast. I guarantee you there's going to be something in this video that you will learn because you didn't know it before. I'm guessing that the first video, most of what we did, you'd already done before. But now, we're going to do something new. And it may or may not start with our example number 6, where we're going to find the area of a semicircle or part of a circle. Whoops, my bad. So, let's get busy right here. Find the area of the semicircle. This is a special part of a circle using 3.14 for pi. So when we do that, we know that, hey, if this were a full circle, we would use pi times the radius squared to find the area. And then now that we only want half of it, because it's a semicircle, we can just divide that by 2. Once again, it's nothing more than putting numbers into this formula and using our calculator and coming up with an answer. But please, write down all of your work. So 3.14 times the radius, which happens to be 4, squared, divided by 2. That would be 3.14 times 16 divided by 2. I can simplify before I have to do all that nasty math and make that an 8. 3.14 times 8. 3.14 times 8 is 25.12. We're going to go 25.1, and that's centimeters squared for our final answer. Moving right along, remember, if I'm going too fast, please stop, write it all down, and then start again. You might want to listen to this entire example first, pause, and then write everything down. Yeah, that will add a minute or two to the end of to the length of this video, but it's certainly better than trying to catch up, just copying notes down blindly, not being able to listen well and learn. You remember, understanding is more important than writing down the notes. Writing down the notes is secondary. It's still important, but it is secondary to your understanding of what we're talking about. Moving right along. Find again the area of a semicircle using 3.14 for pi. So we remind ourselves that area is pi r squared. We only want half of it, so we're going to divide it by 2. And we go 3.14 times the diameter, times the radius. They gave us the diameter. Oops, I almost messed that up. So to find the radius, I take the diameter and divide by 2, which would be 16 divided by 2, or 8. So I come over here and I go 8 squared, dividing the whole thing by 2. 3.14 times 64 divided by 2. I know I can simplify that out to 32. 3.14 times 32. And 3.14 times 32 is 100.48. We're going to go with the final answer of 100.5. And this time it's meters squared for that semicircle. Now I guarantee you, you're going to learn something new right now. A part of a circle is called a sector. And now when you're looking at the circle that I have here for you, you can see a couple things. One, you see this radius. That's going to be equal to the radius that goes here and here, which is shaded in by the green. So if I want to find the area of any part of a circle, I'm giving you the formula. Over here it says area is equal to n divided by 360 times pi times radius squared, where n is the number of degrees of the central angle for the sector. So in this green shaded area, this sector that's located between two radii, the central angle is right here. Here's the central angle. And if we know how many degrees that is, we can divide that by 360, get the percentage of the circle that we are finding the area for, and then use pi r squared. I've also given you the formula for the arc length. That arc length is out here. It's out here on the edge. You'll be doing that in geometry. We're not going to talk much more about it now, but if you ever wanted to give it a shot, you could do that if you knew the circumference, and then you said, hey, this part right here is some percentage of the circumference, and then you can figure it out. But let's take a quick peek look. If we have a semicircle, a special sector that's actually half, well, what is the central angle of a semicircle? What is that central angle measure? That's right, it's 180. If you take 180 and divide it by 360, times it by pi r squared, well, 180 over 360 is 1/2 of pi r squared. and we're just saying, hey, 1/2 times pi r squared is pi r squared divided by 2. And that's what we've been doing. And now you know something new. You have a new formula. You can find the area of any sector of a circle if you know the central angle measure. So let's do a couple of those. The first one, I can tell you right now, if I got a 90-degree angle, this is 1/4 of a circle. But we're going to prove it, because I'm going to take 90 and divide by 360, and then I'm going to multiply that by pi and the radius squared. That's going to give me the area of this sector. 90 over 360, that's right, 1/4 times pi r squared, which is nothing more than pi r squared divided by 4. Let's throw in the rest of the numbers. We have 3.14. Our radius is 10. We're squaring it, we're dividing it by 4. That's 3.14 times 100, dividing by 4. And you and I recognize that 4 goes into 125 times. 3.14 times 25 is 78.5. Our units, centimeters squared. Pretty easy stuff, people. Well, it's pretty straightforward. Like anything else, it's easy for some and not for others. When I say easy, I mean pay attention, and it can be easy. It's up to you. It's a choice. Moving right along, here we have another special sector. And in this case, we want to know what is the central angle. And where is it? Uh-oh, it's this one in here. Well, that's greater than 180. And I happen to know that if I'm taking this 90 out, and I go 360 minus 90, I get 270. So I'm using my formula. Area is equal to n divided by 360 times pi r squared. And my number of degrees is 270 over 360 pi r squared. And that just happens to be 3 over 4 pi r squared, which gives me 3 times pi times the radius squared divided by 4. Let's plug in all the numbers and make it happen. 3 times 3.14 times the radius, which is 7, and I'm going to square it. Now, notice it's 7. I could use 22/7, but then I would have a fraction up here inside the fraction, and it gives me a complex fraction that's too difficult. In this particular case, I would just use 3.14, and then I'm dividing by 4. Doing the math, 3.14 times 3 is 9.42. And 7 squared is 49, all divided by 4. I'm not sure if that's compatible or not, so I'm just going to do the math with the calculator. 461.58 divided by 4. That gives me 115.395. So we're going to go 115.4, and our units, centimeters squared, is the area of that circle. A real life situation, maybe someone has a sprinkler and they're doing your yard and they put it on the corner of the house and it does the yard all the way around the corner of the house. How cool is that? All right, moving right along to our last example of the day, where we're going to revert back to what we learned with circumference. It says find the distance traveled if the tire rotates A 1 time, B 5 times, or C. How many times does it rotate? How many rotations to travel 1 mile? 5,280 feet in a mile. So let's do those one at a time. I'm going to start off with red for A. I'm going to do A, and I'm going to find the circumference. We know that circumference is pi times the diameter. Pi, and the diameter is 23. That's 3.14 times 23, and that gives us 72.2. There are some other digits. I'm stopping right there, and that's inches. If I wanted to know how many feet that were, how many feet 72.2 inches is, what would I do? Divide or multiply by 12? Yeah, you're correct. I divide by 12, which is also equivalent to 6.018. I'm going to go 6.02 feet. Okay? There we go. That's A. Real quickly, just for information, maybe you boys know this and maybe you girls don't. I don't know, but now we all going to know. The tire is the rubber part. What do we call the metal part? What's the metal part? That's right, it's called the wheel. Some people like to call them the rims because they like to get fancy looking rims, but that's still called the wheel. All right, so ladies and gentlemen, moving right along. Oh, by the way, when it comes to that, when you get tires for your car, it comes with a stock wheel. And so when it gives you tire size, it's the tire size that fits the wheel, the size that fits that metal part. Be careful. All right. B. Let me choose a different color here. B. 5 times, I'm going to go with feet. I'm going to go 6.02 times 5 rotations. That's going to give me 30.1 feet if I go 5 rotations. And C. How many rotations if I travel a mile? So I know there's 5,280 feet in a mile, so I'm going to take 5,280 feet. I'm going to divide that by 6.02 feet in a mile, or excuse me, feet that I rotate when I go 1 time on that rotation. And when I divide that out, I get 877.4 after I do the rounding. It's 877.3 something something. Anyway, I'm rounding up to 4. And of course, that's rotations this time. My tire goes rounding, 877.4 times, almost 877.5 times. And just because I feel like sharing, that happens to be a picture of the actual tire on my truck right now. Ladies and gentlemen, we are done with our notes. Real quickly, you got a quick write. There's a picture of a semicircle, a special sector with a diameter of 20. Please make a quick drawing, and you need to find the area of that. Continuing on, before you get to your assignment, writing down any questions or highlighting them, and then continue your 45 minutes of quality work, aggressiveness, urgency. You rock. Keep up the attitude. Keep up the effort. You will learn if you choose to. And I know most of you do. It is an absolute honor to be your educational teacher this year. Thank you so much. I'll see y'all mañana.